Greetings and welcome back to the Red Kite and of course to Robocraft and what will be a build tutorial episode for the Red Kite. But before we get to any of the actual meat and bones of this episode, there has been an update, for it is Wednesday, or rather, actually it's Thursday. I've forgotten what day it is. It is the 5th of March, and a new update has been released, and I feel that we should just go over that. First and foremost, and most importantly, I'm sure many people will like this one. Firstly, the mirror line, which, by the way, you can activate with X. I get a lot of people asking me how to activate the mirror line. I did mention in the first episode where I had a mirror line how to turn it on, but apparently that was missed a little bit. So you activate it with X, or at least I do. You can remap this, but now we can move it. We can move it along. In fact, we can make it narrower so that we can mirror on even spaced bots. You do not need odd space bots with an actual central line of blocks. You can have just a central pair of blocks. That is the very middle of the block, could be the edge, of the bot, could be the edge between two blocks rather than a single block itself. And that is truly marvelous. Now you move the mirror line, you can configure this key, you move it currently by default with the square brackets, and I'll quickly show you how you can change that. You scroll all the way down to mirror line, it's all the way down here, so you go through the controls, so escape, controls, enable mirror mode, and left line, and right line, or rather move it to the left, move to the right. You can set this up for a joystick, you can set it up for a mouse. I don't see much point in that, but you can do it if you so chose. Now, there's also a way to nudge your bots within the garage. Now, I haven't actually even looked at that one. Let me see. A way to nudge your bots. This is something that I've noticed that some of the people who have the mega bots in the larger garages can sometimes, when they buy a large garage for their bot, it will put the bot in there off-center. Doesn't look like we have a left-right, so I'm not sure how to do that one. And it may be something that can only be done in a mega garage anyway, so I perhaps don't have the ability in here. But you can now nudge your bot left or right to recenter it, because for example, if you imagine this was miniaturized and this was actually the mega garage, which I will one day show you. People often ask me, are you ever going to do megabots? I will when I get there. When I get to unlocking megabots, it's definitely something I want to do. But imagine my bot occupied just this much space of the mega garage. When I upgrade this place to Mega Garage, it wouldn't naturally put my bot in the middle. It would put my bot down here, which is a little bit awkward. So what I would need to do is then nudge my bot across until it was in the middle, and then I could use my mirror line or what have you. Though now at this point I can just move the mirror line, but obviously if I wanted to make use of the full space, then ultimately I would want to nudge it all the way over there. Perhaps it's something along the lines of building things out to the side will nudge your bot back and forth, in the same way that building something underneath your bot that would intersect with the floor will nudge your bot up, and so on and so forth. Now, the next thing, and this is a big one, we have, under Cosmetics, if we scroll down there, where are you? Oh, it's not in there. Where are you? Are you in here instead? Perhaps I have to unlock it. That is probably the case, yes. Basically, we now have the new Mega SMG. It's a skin available in the depot. It's a cosmetic. Probably what's happening here is I've not got the ability to unlock it because I haven't unlocked the gun, and that makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, I'd be able to completely bypass it by spending real money. So on that one, well done, Free Jam. I approve of you not allowing people to just randomly buy those big guns. Though in reality, you could still buy the big gun. You would just have to pay a lot more money. You would have to buy all of the tech points to unlock the gun, and then you'd have to buy the custom skin for the gun. Unfortunately, I won't be able to show that for you right now, but eventually, maybe one day, I will. But yes, the Carbon 6 TX1 machine gun variant is now available for purchase in the cosmetic screen. Now, players who reach the 100 kill mark during the Megabot kill event will have 6 of them for free. That is probably going to be a not insubstantial amount of money's worth of cosmetics. From what I understand, it is otherwise functionally identical, but again, we're going to have to actually check that out to know for sure. Beyond that, for the patch, we have a slew of bug fixes. There's a fix on the delay on the crosshair accuracy for rail cannons, a fix with the touchdown electroplates not mirroring correctly. That is the electroplates that are kind of like American football shoulder pads. There is a fix for being able to shoot through mega electroplates. Now, I can only imagine that that was bloody annoying, because those things cost a lot of money, and if you could just shoot through them, then why have them? Oh my lord. There's also a fix for the Mega SMGs being able to be artificially increased in terms of their fire rate. So I imagine there's a bit of a hack there that has now been patched out. There was improved traction added to wheels and tank tracks to help reduce the sliding issue with rail cannons. That is fantastic, considering the next bot I'm going to be building is a rail bot of some description. So now I know that with tanks and wheels, if I've stopped, I'm probably not going to slide with it, so my rails are going to be much more accurate. There's also a bug with unlocking plasma and rail cannons with the incorrect tech points that has now been fixed. Additionally, a bug with the collision of nanos has been with being inconsistent. I've complained about this in a previous episode, that the nano guns they had different bounding boxes on the left and the right. And so it was a little bit inconsistent with how you'd actually place them. That has now been fixed, and I'm quite happy about that. Two more bug fixes remain. One, where players were still able to use nanos whilst using the alignment rectifier. Obviously, the alignment rectifier is meant to basically paralyze your bot and make you a sitting duck, so you had to really choose when you were going to use it, but you could apparently use your nano guns even whilst being realigned by the mothership. And finally, a slew of various miscellaneous bugs to fixing server stability. And that is all. We are now going to get to updating the Red Kite. Now, for this, we're going to need a stand that is currently bright red because it doesn't have the cockpit attached. Let's see. And welcome back. As you can see, I have stripped away all of the functional components from the Red Kite. There are remarkably few, as it happens, far fewer than in most of my bots. I have already also made note of the amount of cubes of both T7 and T8 that I have, so we should be able to calculate how many blocks is used in this design of each of the 4 types at the end of the build tutorial. Now, to go over the components, you will require 4 vapor trails, only you won't really require them, but you kind of do, and 2 flags. You actually do require them. The bot won't work without them, trust me. And we need 2 tier 9 rotor blades. Oh man, I had to just build pillars of white blocks just to fit all of these on. 2 tier 8 rotor blades. You need a total of 12 T6 helium. You need 1 T5 radar jammer and 1 T9 radar and 3 tier 9 hover blades. Now, of course, you will need several weapons. I haven't included them here because the Red Kite can be configured in a number of ways, and I'm not going to assume how you want to use it. Personally, I have more fun with it as a healer or a bomber than I do as an interceptor, and it flat out doesn't work for rails. So it's up to you what you want to do, because the types of weapons you have dictate how many of them you can fit on there. But be aware that this bot does require somewhere in the realm of level 81 to level 80 to be able to fit it out completely. So if you've got a lower level than that, you're either going to have to strip away some of the armor or use less powerful components or use less of them. But now all that remains is to strip away the armor. And once again, I'm going to try this going in reverse. Okay then, now starting with the familiar 2 cubes for our cockpit, we are initially going to build up the cockpit cage, if you like. The hidden compartment deep within the front of the bot, well, I guess it isn't that hidden really, which will protect our cockpit itself. Now, first you will want to build this double thick, so it's a 3x4 platform, 2 thick, And then above that, you just kind of build another 2 layers, but make the middle hollow so you can fit in the pilot seat. There you go. Then we start to build out the front. Now this is going to be the actual nose of the helicopter. I guess it isn't that hidden where my cockpit is, because it is still at the front of the copter, and you could move it back. For example, you could move it back to that little area that I am just building there. But I actually liked it where it was. There is lots of room for optimization though, so if you find that the cockpit is being targeted a little bit more often than not, you could just push it back. There is plenty of room in this forward section for the cockpit to go, but it is also still the most heavily armored part of the Red Kite. I almost said the hummingbird there. Now, the next part, we want to start building out the sides. As you can see here, this will be where we're going to branch off a little bit, and also where we're going to build helium, and then we can start bringing out the tail. The tail is actually, or rather the midsection, the spine of the helicopter is actually fairly easy to build. You'll notice I will be leaving some gaps. These are for the tier 7, the yellow, or in your case you might decide to use a different color, but a different color of armor block. So we just build it out like this, and again we're going to leave a little section in the middle, as you can see there, for a different color of armor. And now we can actually start building out towards the tail section. That little gap that we're leaving just at the bottom there will be for one of the hover blades. Now, I've had a lot of advice saying that I should really put the hover blades somewhere else, and that is certainly worth experimenting with, but at the moment I haven't done that, so I'm not going to start tweaking this around in the build tutorial. Obviously, I'm actually doing this in reverse, so I couldn't tweak it even if I wanted to. But I did briefly consider possibly moving that around, but I chose against it for now. And the all-important windows need to be added. They aren't actually important at all to anything but my sense of style, but my sense of style is rather important to me, so I like to add them in. Those 2 prisms there, just for cradling the hover blades, and we're going to go around now and add in some of the embellishments. We've pretty much blocked in all of the T8. Now we can add a little bit of the embellishments, such as the T7 armor, the slopes and prisms, and then we'll get to finishing off all of the more substantial embellishments. Now you notice right there was a little gap that we built over with the T7 armor cubes. That's actually where the pilot seat goes. We can't fully build in that gap, so just having a little slope over the top of it is as good as we can get, whilst still offering it some protection, but not drastically increasing the height we have to build up for. But here you'll see that a lot of the yellow armor cubes kind of step up from the main blocky part of the T8 armor. We'll smooth that out with prisms and inners and tetras later on. Now we're going to start work on the wings here. So make sure you've got the mirror line turned on for this, because there's an awful lot of building involved in this part, and if you forget, as I am wont to do quite often, then it will cause a bit of a problem. Now, the wings are kind of alternate between 3 thick and 2 thick all the way along until you get to the front of the wing. So you have a pretty stocky tail section to this wing, even so. Often on most of my builds, I make the wings a little bit too narrow, but on this build the wings are necessarily quite large, especially around here where I'm creating the cage for our hover blades. And down below we also need to get that to protrude just slightly, because we're going to be putting some weapons on that a little bit later on. So as you can see there, just build out the embellishments around the corners using inners, tetras and prisms, and then you can fill in the middle section then with just regular armor blocks. Now the hover blade is going to be connected just above this, so it's vulnerable from the top, but not quite as vulnerable from the bottom anymore. And that's the last little swing around there. Then you put in a little bit of shaping for the drive, the hover blade itself there, mostly for aesthetics, but it might actually add a little bit to the armor. And then of course the embellishments around the center. Most of these embellishments are completely surplus to demand. They are just there because I like to create a bit more of a smooth outline around my bot rather than have it all blocky. But this does definitely add to the armor and the weight of the bot, and of course, as a result, the CPU of the bot. So if you're finding that you are perhaps having a little bit of trouble getting the CPU to be within your sort of range, then you could happily strip away some of the shaping that I've done around the bot. I mean, I say happily, I think it would look a lot worse without it, but you could get away with not having it there. And we are almost done now. We are getting to the last little bits of the shaping involved. The tail sections, you'll notice these conspicuous gaps that I have left at the front and at the very tip of the tail there. Those are for the rotor blades themselves. And a little bit more shaping here around that rear hover blade. And then just build up again another conspicuous little gap here for the T8 rotor blades. Of course, the T8s go on the side here, and the T9s go on the very top. That is all of the armor and all of the shaping complete. And here we are once again with the Red Kite put back in place. It may actually be sat just slightly differently on the floor than it was before. I didn't actually make note of that when I took it apart, but it does look a little bit further back in the garage than it did last time. I do apologize for that. But as always, I like to follow my own instructions when I've made a build tutorial, just to make sure that they're clear enough to follow. So it's a good indication that I've done something wrong if I can't put my own bot back together following my own instructions on how to put it together. But I can confirm that the instructions hold true, and I have managed to reassemble the Red Kite. Now, I actually noted down ahead of time how many components, how many blocks the Red Kite originally was made of, and once I had fully taken it apart, I made a note of the new total of blocks I had, so I can confirm that the number of yellow armor cubes used, T7 armor cubes, is 36, and the number of T7 prisms is 16. Those are the only T7 components. However, we use a lot of T8. 380 T8 armor cubes, 137 T8 prisms, 58 T8 tetras, and finally 42 armored inners of T8. So it's actually quite an expensive bot in armor alone. But now comes to putting everything back in its place. And I do like to do this part on camera as well, because this is where you really would notice if something went awry, if you couldn't put everything back where it was meant to go. Let's get all of these down there. I'm not going to move the mirror line over here. Though, in the time that I was away taking all of this apart and putting it back together, well, a little birdie told me, a little birdie by the name of LMC, advised me that you can move the bot around the bay with the arrow keys. So it's the arrow keys to move it around, and I believe it's full stop and quote to move it up or down. There we go. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And we can move it. No, I can't move it left, right, up or down on the bay because these are in the corners, so it's probably going to resist being moved. But we'll do a little bit of a test of that in just a moment. We'll also grab you. Now the T8s go down the bottom. Oh, for a moment there, I thought they weren't going to go in. I thought it was flashing up red when I was actually putting it in the right place. I was about to say, oh no, oh no, oh no. But no, it's all okay. No need to panic. No panicking going on here. No. Right, okay, that's all in place. Let's delete all of these white cubes all the way down, or at least all the way down that I can actually... it's so awkward sometimes. You can't actually stay straight down along your bot, which is a little bit of a problem sometimes. We'll get rid of you as well. In fact, I should be able to get rid of the... blocks on that far corner too. In fact, they're already gone, which is fantastic, which means that I may be able to test moving this around in just a moment. Let's get rid of this as well. Grab my flags. We want our flags back. You scallywag trying to steal our flags. We had the flags, I believe, right by there. I think they were attached there. They may not have been, but I wasn't paying too much attention to where the flags were placed. I'll be honest with you. I just assumed I'd be able to put them back in the right spot. Now, There are the vapor trails, the most important vapor trails. And, of course, our radar, which goes down here. Now, this can move around depending on the weapons that you're using and the relative dimensions of those weapons. And finally, a T5, actually, given that we're in T8, we could probably just roll with it. Oh, okay, we can't roll with a T9, but we could easily roll with a... No, we can't even roll with one of those. Okay, I take it back. We actually do need a T5. Damn it! But there we go. Those are all of the functional components in place. And now, can we move it? Yes. Yes, we can. I can't move it. What? What? It won't go and what? Why? You scallywag! You've messed up my bot! Oh! We'll take care of you first. Can move it. Ha-ha! I've got him back in place. Now let's see. If this doesn't let me put this back, I'm going to be most put out. Oh, phew. I thought I'd messed up the bot. I was going to have to take it all apart again to put it back together. But no. You must remember, step 1, don't panic. Step 2, think about the problem. Step 3, solve the problem. And the problem is then solved. Now, the Red Kite isn't quite ready just yet. You do need to put some weapons on it. And again, I actually do prefer the T9 and T8 plasmas on this particular bot. You can get away with other types of weapons if you really want to, but I find that the Red Kite really does work best. Ah, really? I forgot. My old nemesis is back again. Let's put these back with the mirror line on board. But I do find that the Red Kite does seem to work a little bit better as a bomber than anything else. So I actually do like playing the bot, and in fact most of my flies in bomber configuration. I don't know why, but I really do seem to get on with plasma bombers better than I do with any other type of flyer. But that is the Red Kite, and that is the end of this episode. The final thing we are going to check out, I've listed the number of components involved. We'll check out here. The robot tier is 9, cubes 715. Now, this will give us a rough estimate of how much this costs with all functional components on. That's why I wanted to put the weapons back on there. Cell robot, 1,541,185 RP. So double that, and that is roughly how much the Red Kite costs to build. So I do hope you have enjoyed this build tutorial and that it will enable you to create this bot and that it will serve you well on the battlefield. But that is it from me and from the Red Kite. So until next we meet, and as always, do take care.